Hey everybody, welcome to the Hunter's Quest podcast. This is your host, Hunter McWaters. Hope you're doing well, and I hope you guys all had a great Thanksgiving and enjoyed some family time and hopefully some time in the woods maybe. Things are winding down here on the fall season. Of course, there's always other seasons gearing up at the same time, but I hope you guys had a great, fun, safe, successful season. Which I want to mention, if you are a listener of the podcast, if the podcast has been helpful to you in any way in filling a tag this season, I would love to see your success photos. So go ahead and you can email those to me at hunter@thehuntersquest.com, or you can just DM me on Instagram. I'd love to see your success photos, and if it's cool with you, I'll even share some of those. So again, if the podcast has been helpful, whether through inspiration or education, anything, or you just want to share successful hunt photos with me, I would love to see them. So send them over through Instagram, or you can email me, hunter@thehuntersquest.com, along with any other questions you might have or anything like that. I'm always happy to connect with you guys. So today, it's been a little bit long in coming because of just scheduling and all that stuff, but I'm going to do a recap episode from my Montana General Rifle Elk hunt that I did with Logan Romney, and that was towards the end of October. We got there right as the season was about to open up, and we hunted for, I believe, 5 or 6 days. We did not fill a tag on that hunt. However, I was able to get us into a spot away from pressure. We had basically a whole mountainside to ourselves. We saw, I think, 3 or 4 raghorn bulls, which were shooters for that hunt for me. We saw one really nice 280, maybe almost pushing 300-inch bull. We saw a bunch of bull moose. We saw some really nice mule deer. So although we didn't fill a tag on this hunt, I, thought it was a successful hunt in that, again, I had e-scouted this spot on my own from Virginia, got us into a spot on a busy general season hunt where we had an area essentially to ourselves, and we saw elk every day, including some good bulls. We saw deer, moose, other animals. So to me, it was a success, and I just wanted to do a quick recap with Logan on this hunt with a few of the takeaways we learned from this hunt and things that I'm learning, in my Western hunting career in general. So I do want to, as always, thank my sponsors, especially Onyx Hunt, Seekins Precision, Barnes Bullets, and Mountain Ops. If you want to sign up for Onyx Hunt, or if you want to get some great products from Mountain Ops, use my code QUEST. It's very helpful. It'll help support the show, and you'll be getting some great products at a discounted rate. I also do want to mention, if you haven't seen it yet, finally was able to release my Montana General mule deer hunt from last year, where I shot this buck here behind me on the wall. He's a 2-point, but he's a 130-inch 2-point. He was the most mature deer we saw all week. Absolutely a mature deer. Maybe he doesn't have the best genetics or whatever. Maybe he's regressed. I don't know. But he was a mature deer, and I was super stoked to fill my tag on that deer. And he's just really cool. 130-inch 2-point. That's just pretty cool. So it's a really fun hunt. We did it in the snow. It was like negative 24 degrees the first night we got there. And the film is really good. So I partnered up with Onyx Hunt and actually released that on their YouTube channel. So you go to the Onyx Hunt YouTube channel, you can watch that hunt there, and it's performing pretty well. Also, it's on my YouTube channel as well, which, I'm happy for you guys to watch that anywhere. But, I would ask that if you can, please go to my YouTube channel by searching my name, Hunter McWaters, and subscribing to the Hunter's Quest YouTube channel. That is very helpful to me as I try to grow my presence, and it just means a lot if you guys would do that. And, if you like the stuff, comment, like, share. As always with the podcast, please continue to share the podcast with your friends. If you're one of my listeners who I'm in your top 5, podcasts on that like Spotify end of the year thing or whatever, share that. I love seeing those. I love seeing anything you can share on social media is helpful. It's a really easy way that you guys can support me by sharing stuff on social, sending the podcast out to friends and family, subscribing to my different channels. I put in a lot of work and a lot of time and effort into producing all this content, and you get all of it for free. So I just ask that if you can help me out by using those discount codes, sharing the show, posting stuff on your social media, subscribing to my Instagram, to my YouTube. It means a lot, and that's how I'm going to be able to continue to grow and continue to put out good content and bring it to you free and ad-free. So it's been almost 3 years now. I think I've missed 2 or 3 weeks releasing a podcast on top of producing a full-on television show by myself for the Sportsman Channel. So I'm working hard over here. I hope you guys can respect that and can help me out in any way you can. And on that note, if you have Sportsman Channel, definitely tune into the show because that's where you're going to find all the episodes, a lot of stuff that doesn't get released on YouTube, and you're just going to see stuff before it's released on YouTube, and that's very helpful to me too. So the show right now, through the end of the year, that's the end of 2023, will be running on Monday mornings at 11:30 a.m. Eastern and Saturdays at noon Eastern. That might change next year, maybe get a little better air times, but I appreciate y'all's support, and I hope you're enjoying what I'm doing here. I know I'm working hard, and I hope you guys have a great holiday season and enjoy this podcast, and I got some really cool podcasts coming down the line, so stay tuned, and thank you for everything. We'll see you guys on the next one. Hey everybody, welcome to the Hunter's Quest podcast. This is your host, Hunter McWaters, and I am joined by my friend and partner on this Montana General Rifle Elk hunt from this year and my Montana General Rifle deer hunt last year, Logan Romney. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great, man. How are you?
Good. It's good to see you again, dude.
Yeah, you too.
What have you been up to since I saw you last? You done any hunting or anything, or?
Dude, actually, yeah, I went on one hunt, late season archery mule deer hunt.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah. How'd that go?
dude, it was good. So I showed up where I park is like 7,000 feet elevation. I like
Uh-huh.
e-scouted this whole thing because I'd never been to this unit. So I figured the deer would be kind of down low. And I got glassing around, and the only deer I saw were at 10,000 feet up the mountain.
Wow.
So every day I hiked up like 3,000 feet to try and hunt them. But
Oh my gosh.
it was wild. Saw a lot of deer though. So going back this weekend to try to get it done.
Okay. That's in your home state?
Yeah.
That's a lot. 3,000 feet every day?
Dude, it was wild actually. Like it was only for 2 days, but it sucked.
You're making me like feel like wimpy for how I'm about to complain about this hunt. But anyway, so yeah, like if you guys have listened to the podcast before, or if you've seen recently on my YouTube channel, also on the Onyx Hunt YouTube channel, just released, and also on the Sportsman Channel show, just released our mule deer hunt from last year in Montana, which Logan filmed for me, did a great job, and we had a good time. And so, if you haven't seen it yet, go check that hunt out. It was a really cool hunt, and got a nice deer. And so I was heading back this year for Montana General Rifle Elk, and I kind of had made it my goal this year to kill my first elk, and I knew I had a really good shot at drawing this tag. It was like a 74% draw odd, and that was 0 points. So not like a limited entry or anything like that, general tag. But then, as you know, if you've been listening for a while, I drew this crazy, like amazing New Mexico muzzleloader tag. So I was kind of like trying to figure out what I was going to do, like if I was going to try to hunt archery in Montana, and then I just didn't know what I was going to do, and I had a big trip already planned for like beginning of September, so it was going to be kind of tight. So what I decided to do was kind of mash these two hunts together since New Mexico is only a 5 day season, and I was calling it like elk tour or whatever. But basically, I just put two elk hunts back to back, which I want to get into a little bit later, but is not impossible, but was a factor. Um, so I did my New Mexico elk hunt, which was an amazing hunt, but actually was more physically demanding, I think, than I was kind of expecting, to be honest. And then I drove from New Mexico and met up with Logan in Idaho, actually, at Luke Duesenberry's place, and then we drove up and started our hunt. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where the story begins.
Yeah, it was wild. You had a lot of hunting.
Yeah, man. So I did want to mention really quick before we kind of jump into recapping the hunt. As I mentioned, this is a general tag, so I kind of want to just really briefly go over e-scouting, and I want to ask kind of your 2 cents on it, Logan, 'cause you're a great hunter as well as a videographer. So, although you are kind of a deer guy,
Absolutely. Absolutely a
um,
deer guy.
yeah, like the whole time we're glassing for elk, you're like, "Oh, deer." I'm like, "Dude, we're looking for elk," and you're like, "Oh, deer." No, it's fine. But so just really briefly, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but obviously, if you're coming from out of state, e-scouting is a big deal, and I'm still learning a lot. But there's a kind of a few general concepts that led me to where we ended up hunting, which I was actually fairly pleased with. And you thought it was a pretty good spot too, no?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a really good spot. We saw a lot of
Yeah,
animals, so
we did.
yeah.
Um, so what I did that was, um, I knew kind of generally what part of the state I wanted to hunt in, and a lot of that I did reach out to some friends. And as things go with hunting, like no one's gonna give you like, here's the spot, like here's this pin, go here. Like, they might drop you some pins, but it's gonna be general information, or it's gonna be their second, third level spots. And I don't like being that guy to be like, dude, I need like I like getting general information about units, areas, mountain ranges where there's good habitat, and I don't feel weird about asking people that stuff. Um, but I did reach out to some friends from Montana, and they gave me some ideas generally where to start looking, and then from there, I kind of looked at first of all burn areas that are in that kind of 5 year range, which is where we were, and that's for visibility, and also some of the vegetation is good for food and stuff like that. And then I was looking for north facing bowls that were kind of nasty, and obviously walking that fine line between accessible to where it's not like borderline dangerous to try to pack an elk out of a spot, or like stupid or crazy, but also enough off the beaten path to where you're not going to be just running into guys the whole time. So that's kind of what I was looking for. And I did identify kind of 3 or 4 good looking areas. I don't remember if I consulted with you on it or not, but I ended up sort of just picking one to start off with. It was a burn area, north facing bowl, some trail systems and camping options in the area, but not like not like super obvious or super easy to get to. So that's kind of where I started. Do you have anything to add to that as far as e-scouting or just general kind of picking spots from your point of view?
Um, yeah, I mean it's a big process like when I go about it because when I am e-scouting like a new unit, it's a whole unit of possibilities. Like there's like hundreds of places you could go, different places, um different spots. And so, yeah, like thinking about where, like targeting where those animals are going to be during certain times of year. So
Mm-hmm.
we were hunting elk kind of after the rut. So there was a little bit of rut action, but not a ton. So just thinking about like where are those elk going to be? They're going to be the big elk are going to be like by themselves, timbered up in hard places to see and get to.
Mm-hmm.
And so just starting there, starting where the animal's going to be at, and then kind of going from there. There,
Yeah.
e-scouting is like a huge topic, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And like to your point, I think I don't remember ever hearing a bugle. I remember friends telling me that there was some bugling happening in different areas. You think you might have heard one or two, right? At
Yeah,
some
I think I
point?
did. Yeah.
Okay.
There was a couple elk on like the first day that were kind of rutting a little bit, but
Yeah.
not crazy, but yeah.
Um so we get to let's see. So we drive in first thing you want to do also when you're kind of planning these things logistically is you got to kind of figure out like where's the nearest town where you can kind of gear up, get water, fuel, that kind of thing, which we did. Um, and also wanted to ask you about too. So Logan is a big time boots on the ground guy. Like he's not afraid to just go for it, and so things are a little different from your perspective when it comes to scouting because you're able to kind of get out and look at stuff. Which reminds me of the I don't know if you want to like tell your master plan, but you don't have to if you don't want to. But you're telling me your master plan for like mapping out all the best deer spots in your state. You're just methodically like
Yeah.
scouting all of them and like starting a spreadsheet.
Yeah. It's kind of just like an idea. I could go over it real quick, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to kind of like pick a unit. And there's a unit that I'm kind of working on right now that I've hunted my whole life, but I've only hunted like a probably like 2 square miles of this unit, and it's a huge unit. So like there's way more country to cover, but really what I wanted to do is just kind of like on X, I've like got everything mapped out. I've sectioned a bunch of different sections. There's probably 10 sections within the unit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just gonna kind of work on each section and like during the summertime, scout them, go through all like work through the pines, the thick pines where the deer are going to be hanging out during like October during the rifle season,
Mm-hmm.
and just finding the best places, finding the best deer, put it so like trail cams up. And I mean, it'll take years to even work through even just one unit, but
Yeah.
like I don't know, I think it'd be fun. And I
It'll
think
be.
it's something that like because like my goal is like to kill a giant deer someday, and so that's
What do you define as giant?
like 200 inches or
Okay.
more. That's a
Okay.
giant, you know.
Yeah. I would. I like since I shot. I've never really been worried about scores, but since I shot this giant blacktail, I kind of like now sort of it's not like big time goal yet, but like I would love to do a deer slam and get like a Boone and Crockett buck now of each subspecies. So minimum is 180 for mule deer. So that's kind of my goal is to get a 180 right now at some
Yeah.
point. Um, but you mentioned an important point, which I didn't really talk about. That was kind of more of a factor on my New Mexico hunt, but it relates to e-scouting. Is once you've kind of broken down a unit and it's tough because from my perspective like there's just so much land and there's so little time for me but if you can take a unit even if it's a large or several units but break them down into like manageably sized chunks and that's kind of one way to start and then like when we were in New Mexico like I had like there was kind of the almost breaks country desert then there's like the high country kind of alpine and then there was like another section that I'd kind of named and then kind of I don't know it seems probably basic but it's just a way of kind of you can be sort of overwhelmed if you're looking at too much country on a map so if you kind of break it into chunks and even decide like what kind of terrain do I want to hunt like what kind of habitat like you said kind of figuring out what the animals are doing that time of year and then like just narrowing it down it's all just a process of like narrowing stuff down
Yep.
um so anyway, once we had done all that, we came to, and that's the other thing too is this was like a base camp style of hunt. So we needed, although you slept in your car the whole time, and I was just in a
Yeah.
teepee, but sometimes that's just the best way to do it. But we came, and I know on these general hunts, like pressure is always something that guys worry a lot about, myself included, because, you know, you never want to be out there in a hunt and be just surrounded by guys. It's just not any fun. Um, so we got to this. It was an established, like named campsite with spots and like fire rings and all that stuff, like even like picnic tables and stuff. and there was a lot of guys there. I mean, this was, Montana
Yeah.
General Rifle. It was so when we pulled up there, I was a little bit kind of like, ugh, I was kind of like a little nervous. I don't know. What'd you think at that point?
Yeah, well, I remember like pulling up and there wasn't a lot of people there, but then like the next day or so, I think it was like or maybe that night or something, like a bunch of people showed up and like all the campsites were filled.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a little nervous, but uh as we like kind of saw the types of people that were in the camps, most of them were
Yes.
just like old people, you
That's
know.
that's true. I remember the first night. Um, so I'll say this. So we get there the first night. I'm a little bit tired. The other part of my elk thing I was going to say before is like I also underestimated the fact that it was like a 20-ish hour drive from New Mexico to Montana, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll just drive. I was like, okay, that's 20 solid hours of driving, which is tiring in a different kind of way, but is still like sort of tiring. So when I got there to the campsite, I was kind of like ready to just sort of set up camp and like sort of just have like a pretty chill night. And you were like, dude, we should get up there in glass. And I was like, yeah, we should, but I don't really want to. So you, being the kind and little, not little, but energetic whippersnapper that you are, offered to just book it up the mountain and spend the evening glassing while I set up camp, which was super helpful because what'd you see when you got up there?
Yeah. Um, the biggest thing I think was like finding good glassing spots because if we were up there in the dark, it'd be taking us a little while to find something. But
So true.
um, found a good glassing spot and found some elk. Found a group of elk. There's a
Yeah.
few bulls in there, shooter bulls, not
Yeah.
huge, but good like raghorn 6 point bulls.
Yeah.
Um, right down low, like perfect. We could have got on them, but obviously it was the day before opener, so I watched them feed across, and I was like, okay, this is perfect. They're going to be right here in the morning. It's going to work
Yeah.
out.
I know.
So
We had high hopes.
we did,
Um,
yeah,
so that first thing you said, which is super important, is the glassing spot. Like, you can look at a map all day. You can, and that's helpful, and you should do that. But like you just said, is so true. In the dark, you have to. You're not going to be able to find a good spot in the dark. It's very hard. And just finding the best route up there. So that was very, very, very helpful. And so, anytime you can get to a hunt early and scout, even if it's just like you did one evening of glassing, it is 100% worth it. And you'll just feel so much more confident going into opening day, like we did. I mean, we were feeling good. And but what I was going to say also is while you were doing that, I did a little scouting of the campsite. I walked the whole campsite and I was just scoping guys out because that is part of the deal is you got to kind of get a feel for pressure and kind of what you're up against. I know we're all fellow hunters, but at the same time, there's a level of competition there. So I did a little human scouting and walked around the campsite, and I was just kind of like, okay, those guys have huge beer guts. Okay, those guys are like 75 years old. And there was a lot of that. That didn't seem
there
like
was.
there's too many like young, fit, like just like, gamer looking dudes. So I was like, we might be okay. Plus,
Yeah,
the spot we wanted to get to was about 1,100 foot climb, about a mile and a half or something like that.
yeah, I think it was about a mile and a half. Actually, it might have been about 2 miles.
Okay, about 2 miles. So, um, I had a pretty good feeling that no one was going to do that, but we didn't know. But anyway, you got up there and you saw some elk, you got some footage of some elk, and so we were stoked. And they were hitting a wallow, weren't they?
Yeah, there was a wallow. Yeah,
Yeah. And of
yeah,
course, if those elk had been there any other time during the week, we probably could have killed an elk, but
for sure.
they weren't, of course. But we did see those elk again. But anyway, so you came back down, and you were feeling pretty confident. You're like, dude, I got, and I was like, shh, like, because there's like campsite people all around. But yeah, you saw some elk, and then that night we kind of just chilled out. I think we like I think I also like made some burgers or some kind of food while you're up there, and we kind of just were gearing up, getting ready for opening day, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Um, so let's see. So the next day, we and so that's just something I wanted to like just reiterate real quick is don't be totally discouraged when you get to the trailhead or and I've kind of learned this a couple times this season or the campsite or whatever and there's a lot of people just because there's people there doesn't mean they're going right where you're going. It doesn't mean there's a couple times in Oregon this happened too. There's guys kind of parked where we wanted to go in and I'm like dang like we gotta go to the next spot and Luke's like no let's just go in anyway and sometimes we never even saw the other guys, or maybe they're going somewhere completely different. And a lot of dudes do road hunt this type of, um, or when I say road hunt, they might drive somewhere, hop out, hike a couple hundred yards, drive to the next spot, that kind of thing. So, and especially if you're willing to wake up and climb a hill first thing in the morning, you're going to cut out a lot of that. So don't get too discouraged. But also make sure you're willing to separate yourself a little bit through some effort.
Yeah.
So we get up there, and like I said, it's nothing crazy, but we got to cross a little creek, and we got to climb up about 1,100 feet. So it's not like crazy, but just enough to get us up there alone, and we saw. I think right away the first thing we saw was like two nice bull moose, huh?
Yeah, we did. Like just like popped out of nowhere, just like on the hillside.
Yeah.
Big
And
bull moose.
we
Yeah.
ended up watching those moose like the whole time. And then what else did we see that day? Do you remember?
I think we did see some elk.
Yeah, some cows and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, some cows. Yeah, we did. Like I think they came from like the left side,
Yeah. I
worked
mean,
their way over, something like that.
we
But
were seeing elk every day.
we were, yeah,
Um and we could see that wallow where you had seen the bulls the night before. Um One thing I will say is we were a little bit too far. Like it was a good glassing spot, but it was not the kind of spot where you could shoot
no,
like
yeah,
across. I don't know how far you think we were from that other ridge, like 1,500 or something.
yeah, about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a
Um,
ways.
it was a ways, and then let's see. I'm trying to see where should we go from here. But we were hopeful that I don't really know why. I kind of just maybe I don't know. We just kind of were in glassing mode, and we sat there all day that day. We basically hunted there for 3 days,
Yeah,
or was it 2.5? Maybe 2.5.
might have been 2.5 days. Yeah,
Um, we saw like a bunch of moose. You found some good deer.
yeah. There's a couple nice bucks.
Yeah, was it one or two in there? I don't remember.
One for sure. The other one I like saw slightly. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but
um, so and we saw elk every day, including I think it was the second day. I'm not sure. It's all kind of blurring together, but we did see that little bachelor group of like raghorns with some, shooters for a general tag. And then I think it was the second full day. At the end of the day, what do we see?
yeah, we saw big elk.
I'd say he was what 280 ish or something,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is not
maybe
like
pushing 300, but
yeah, maybe
maybe.
pushing 300, which is not like a giant, but for a late season general tag, he was like a good 6 point.
Yeah,
And we got like maybe 30 seconds of footage of him and got kind of excited, but he was in like some nasty, nasty stuff.
yeah. Like yeah, that's the only time we saw him, and we were
Mm-hmm.
glassing on the hillside for 2.5 days. And he could have gone over the other side because he was right close to the top, but
Mm-hmm.
even where he was at was so thick. Like even if he could have been in there the whole time, and we wouldn't have really
Yeah.
seen him. So, and he wasn't moving around; he was just kind of hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, it was like that. Like if you take like a box of matches and like drop it on the floor. That like matchstick looking deadfall with like the 6 foot thick like regrowth pine trees, and just really thick nasty stuff.
Yeah.
But we were pretty excited about seeing him. And then I think it was, and then I started thinking, this is a good spot. This is what kind of triggered me. Excuse me. So I'm still dealing with this cough. By the way, I'll take this moment to mention it is November 29th when we're recording this. When we met up, it was what, November or October 19th
October.
or something,
Yeah.
20th. And I
Yeah.
started coughing on this hunt, and I'm still coughing. It's been almost a month and a half. So that's another
It's crazy.
factor I was dealing with. And I do want to get kind of into that later in the hunt. But so anyway, we see this thing, and I start to realize, if we see this thing again, it might be a similar situation where he pops up for 30 seconds to a minute and disappears again. Even the wallow, if something were to pop in there, we would have had to like book it to get to a spot. So I started looking at the map, and I realized like I need to get into a spot where if I see something pop out again, I have at least like a prayer of getting a shot. So that's what I did. So I went down. I think it was like midday. I don't remember exactly, but at some point after seeing that big bull, I went down like a little finger ridge, maybe 300 or 400 feet elevation wise below where we were, and found like a really nice like shooting knob. Like it was like a rock outcropping, and I even like set my rifle up. Like I built. I didn't really build. Well, I did. I built a little kind of a little platform for my bipod and like cleared out some rocks so I could lay prone, which I think is really smart. I wish I had done that like day. If I had done that day one, we might have killed a bull.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know if there was any close enough, but
That's true.
maybe.
Maybe. That's a maybe. But at least we would have been closer.
Yeah.
I think where that spot was like 700 from where that bull was, which would have been almost double my longest shot. Although I did kill this blacktail at 560 ish, um, in windy, rainy conditions. So I might have been able to do it, but it still would have been a long shot.
Would have been a long shot for
Yeah.
sure.
Um, but at least we were
I
like
think
good.
well, I think an important thing to say about this spot that we were in um is that we were hoping that the elk would come lower so they'd be close enough so we could
Yeah.
shoot them from where we were at. And they just never did. They stayed high. That's why we just like could never get a shot on
Yeah.
anything is because they were just too far. But the first day when I was there on the day before, they were down low,
Mm-hmm.
like by that wallow. So it would have worked out. But after that, we didn't see an elk low enough
Yeah.
the rest of the time.
Yeah, that wallow was pretty low. We did see some cows and spikes down low a couple times,
Yeah.
but never a legal bull, unfortunately, which is the way it goes. But anyway, I got down there, kind of set up a spot to where if that did happen, I might have a shot. Um, and we hung out there for another evening, and then the next morning as well. And that didn't pan out, unfortunately.
No. Yeah.
We did see some deer, kept seeing the moose. It seemed like those moose were rutting, huh?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there was like four bulls or something and a cow, maybe a calf.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, I think they were still running.
Yeah, so, I mean, one of them was a good bull. Saw some good deer in there. And then I don't know. I think it was like maybe after like two long sits, and this at this point it had been like almost 3 full days of kind of sitting looking at this one hill, and both of us kind of like, yeah, we probably need to like change it up. What were you thinking at that point?
Yeah, I was thinking similar because it's almost like we started seeing less elk,
Mm-hmm.
but a little bit. I mean, we still see them every day, but they're just like we're not getting close.
Yeah.
And even if we saw them, like even if they were high and we knew where they were at, to get on them, if we were to like drop down and go up their side, it was like almost impossible to even find them if you were on the other side, just
Oh
because of
yeah,
the way the hill was and the timber. So it was getting to a point where it was like, well, maybe we should try a different area or something, because I don't know if they're gonna work out for us in
yeah.
this spot.
And it was really nasty. Like to go down in that bottom and pop up the other side would have been like
Yeah,
pretty rough.
yeah.
Excuse me. So, got a combination of things going on here. So, first of all, I want to say I underestimated doing two back-to-back elk hunts. I kind of figured I'd be fine. I train hard in the off season, but I did underestimate the kind of amount of wear on me mentally and physically after 5 days of really hard elk hunting and then like 20 hours of driving, and then the spot where we're going, again, nothing crazy, but we're waking up every single morning and going basically straight uphill, like 1,100 feet. And then the last day or so, it was like 1,100 feet up and then like 400 or 500 down to that spot. And then like to get out, you kind of had to go back up and then back down. Um, so, and just like I said, coming off a lot of hunting, plus, I'm what, like 15 years older than you? 10? How old are you?
Yeah, I don't know how old you are. I'm 21.
Okay, yeah, I'm 36, so I'm 15 years older than you. Um, and I was starting to feel it a little bit, starting to not look forward to that every morning, wake up and climb that mountain, which to me was a mountain. Um, and we're starting to see less and less elk. I'm coughing my lungs up every time we're going up this thing. So I'll be honest, man. Like I was kind of looking for, is there somewhere we can get it's a little easier to get to, like to hunt. In retrospect, and this is something I'm learning on a larger scale, kind of in my whole Western hunting whatever career. Kind of a mistake I made last year during spring bear as well is I tend to make too big of jumps. This is something we talked about.
Hmm.
So since I've been talking a lot, let me lead this in with you. What do you think we could have done better or differently than what we did when we decided to kind of stop hunting that spot?
Yeah, it's hard to say because you just never know what that spot was like when after we left. You don't
Sure.
know what the elk did. Um, we knew there was elk on that hillside. Um, one of the things that I had thought about and we kind of discussed, but was hiking like over the next hillside
Yeah.
behind that and seeing what was over there. There was a trail on top of that hill that we'd seen some people walking, but um, I don't know what it looked like over there, and it's kind of like that. Like maybe like the grass is greener on the other side. Who knows? It could have been great. There could have been nothing, but
Yeah.
um, we would have still been close to that area, and we could have like still seen elk crossing over or something, or on
Mm-hmm.
the backside of that. Um, I mean, that was something we could have done. What we ended up doing, right, is we kind of tried some different areas in kind of a totally different mountain range, actually, like
Yeah.
across the valley to the other side.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like an hour drive,
Yeah, it
and
was.
started looking over there, but we just didn't. I don't think we had a ton of time over there
Yeah.
to really figure it out. So
Yeah. So like again, like I'm not beating myself up too much because it could, like you said, it could go either way. Um, but I feel like I tend to maybe make, like when I decide it's time to go plan B, for some reason my mind is like go somewhere completely different as opposed to looking for different ways to hunt or different spots to hunt the same kind of area. And I did have the thought of what if we kind of go over there on the other side where we're seeing all these elk and keep the wind in our face and try to like work these kind of finger ridges, almost like still hunt through there and see if we could see anything, which might have been a valid option. It is, it's low percentage for sure. I didn't think we'd be able to glass down at them really. Um, but anyway, it's something we could have tried. and also, just as a kind of a major point is like you don't want to leave elk to find elk. So that's kind of one reason why we stuck there as long as we did. And I think that was the right decision. I just think maybe we should have, instead of making such a big jump, we could have maybe just hunted that a little differently, you know?
Yeah.
And I think I would have been a little more game to do that, but I'm just being totally transparent here. I was looking for something a little easier to hunt because I knew it'd be tough to hunt that other side over there, and I was just feeling worn down, man. Like, just being totally honest. Like, if I had been fresh on this hunt, I might have made a different decision. But instead, we decide, let's try some other spots, and these are some other spots that we're kind of in some areas where some friends of mine have said might be worth checking out. Um, so, and there were some good looking spots. But before we move on there, the last time we hiked down from the mountain, I'm feeling pretty worn, man. Like I'm feeling pretty beat up. And we get down to the truck, and I'm taking off my pack, and I go like this, and there's no camera on my shoulder. And I like almost lost it. What are you thinking at this point?
Yeah, I was like, I mean, I was just, I didn't really know what to think. I was like, like, where's the camera at? Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, obviously, it's somewhere along the way that we just hiked down, right?
Yeah,
I wonder like how far it is.
yeah.
Um,
So basically,
I don't
like,
know. It's just like, oh,
yeah,
like that's a bummer, right? But like, I guess
I was
you
like in the
gotta go
depths
get
of
it.
depression, dude. Like it just, I don't know. I was just so worn down, and like the thought of, I just personally like, I hate backtracking. I hate going back, like, and it was like, it took us like 2 hours to get to where we were that at
Yeah, it
that
was a
point.
long ways.
Yeah, and I finally remembered, like my stomach just fell out, and I remembered taking my jacket off like 50 yards from our spot, and of course I took my camera off, to take my pack off, and I just left it sitting there. And then we even looked back through you took some still photos, and you could see my camera on the ground, like where it
Yeah.
was. And so
Yeah, that was funny.
yeah, I'm just like so like I don't know. Just I just felt really bad, and I'm just pulling stuff out of my pack, just trying to get it as light as I can, like trying to mentally prepare to go back up there. And there's no way I was gonna ask you to go get it, but I just was like, this is gonna be terrible. And I don't know. At some point, you're just like, dude, I could just go get it. And I was like, I love you. Like you saved me on that one, man. So thank you.
Yeah,
But
dude, for sure.
and
Well,
go ahead.
and I was also thinking like we were gonna go try to find some other spots, and
Yeah.
so instead of like both of us going up there or something, like I'll go grab the camera. You can go look for some other spots to hunt because
Yeah.
yeah, it'd just be a huge waste of time if we both went up there. Like
Yeah.
so,
And I just like mentally, like we were both kind of done hunting there, and like I didn't want to go back up in there and sit there again. And so, so you helped me out big time, and like, and then yeah, Logan like puts on like shorts and like trail running shoes, and like takes everything out of his pack, and just bombs up there. And it was the most efficient thing to do, but still, like,
yeah.
definitely appreciate that. And I did give you a little extra bonus tip on that for saving my butt there.
Oh yeah,
So
I
I took
appreciate
care of you on
that
that.
too.
Yeah, man. Um, so, and you can handle it. You're 21 years old. You can do that. No problem.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, exactly. See, for you it was fun. For me, it was like complete utter misery. Um, so yeah, so while you're doing that, that's what I did. I jumped in the truck and I started driving around to some spots. And I found one pretty like good spot that was only like, I don't know, half mile, 3/4 of a mile from where you had to park, and you could get out in glass. And it was a good spot, lots of visibility, but it was kind of one of those areas where, like, the elk are either there and they're gonna pop out right below you, or they're just not, and they
Yeah,
weren't. But
yeah,
and then, man, like the rest of the time was pretty much us kind of trying to use I had some other areas that I had either e-scouted and or friends had kind of said, check out this area. At this point, we're a little bit scrambling. It would have been, in retrospect, wiser to try to hunt those elk a little bit different way. That the ones that we were looking at, we did a little bit kind of end up leaving elk to find elk, but it is what it is. We made a decision, and we spent basically the rest of the time hitting different spots in the truck that were like fairly easy to hike to, nothing crazy. And I don't know, I don't think we saw any more elk the rest of the trip, did we?
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think we did bump that elk in the pine trees, or you
Yes.
heard one or something.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
There was one spot where it looked like, and still hunting is very low success rate, but sometimes it's just fun, man. Like just especially if you're kind of checking out new areas and scouting, you might as well at least try to kind of sneak through and keep the wind right. And we did actually get into an area where I did bump an elk. I think it sounded like one. Um, but and we had fun, but just it seemed like basically the rest of the time we were just kind of scrambling, looking for spots, and I don't think we found any more elk, at
No.
least that we could see. So, so yeah, this was obviously not a successful hunt as far as tags being punched. However, we had a great time, captured some really good content, and I was not feeling too down. A, because I had just killed my first elk like a week prior in New Mexico. But B, like even though there's different decisions we could have made better probably, and still looking back, I feel this way. I was still pretty stoked with the fact that we had come to a spot that I had e-scouted from Virginia based on very limited knowledge. Um, got in there, had a nice, comfortable camp, and got into an area where we were by ourselves essentially. I think we saw one other group of hunters on the opposite ridge for like a couple minutes, but we were
Yeah.
seeing animals every day. So like I said, a general tag, high pressure tag, but we were able to get in and see animals every day, including a nice bull and several other shooter bulls. So I was pretty stoked about that.
Yeah. I think overall pretty good hunt. Like saw a lot of animals. Found a good area like where
Hmm.
no one was in. That's rare to find sometimes.
Yeah,
So it was good.
yeah. And so I'm trying to think of anything else like noteworthy really happened. I can't really think of anything, but we basically just had a good time. Um, we went to this like bar or restaurant, which was like it looked straight out of Hollywood, like big elk, like just mounts and like cool stuff and like wood, but it wasn't like fake or like dirty. It was like clean and like just looked like a movie set.
Yeah, it was cool.
I don't remember what that place was called, but and we got some
I don't know.
pizza. I don't want to tell what it's called, even if we did, but
It's true. It's true.
and we even talked about going back to this spot, maybe with a deer tag or a combo tag.
Yeah, we saw some good bucks and tons of does. And
Hmm.
so
We were scheming a little bit,
we were thinking about how we do it.
and so just so you know, and this is kind of a good note for since we're coming into application period and talking about application strategy. Right now, my tentative plan, I think, what I would like to do is hunt that Oregon over the counter season again, which hopefully will go again until November 10th, and then I'm going to apply for Colorado third rifle somewhere good. I'm going to have 4 points going in, so you can get on a really solid hunt in Colorado on 4 points. Um, and also Colorado, you can return tags and retain your points. You still have to pay for it. You can either get a refund or get your points back, not
Hmm.
both. But so I'm going to apply for Montana General deer, which this year on 0 points is a 54% chance. I just checked it. if I draw that, I'll return my Colorado tag and hunt that Montana. And what I'm thinking is driving. I haven't looked at how long the drive is, but possibly driving from Oregon, hitting this spot for like a day or two, seeing if we can dig up those one of those bucks, and then if not or whatever, then hitting like eastern Montana or something for the last few days of the season. But um, anyway, man, I don't know. Good hunt. I felt like it was a success, even though we didn't kill anything. But I don't know, any other like just like takeaways from your perspective, anything like that?
Um, Not really. I mean, that last day, we kind of debated should we even go hunting or should we just kind of like hang out? That was kind of a big deal for you. I don't know if you wanted to go into that too.
I'm forgetting what happened.
So yeah, so when we it was the morning we went through those trees. We slow hunted
Mm-hmm.
through those trees and then kind of decided to hit like one more spot on our way back towards camp. And there
Oh
was
yeah,
that
that's the
area.
one where I was like you were like, dude, we got to go to this knob, and it was a pretty far hike, and I was like, I don't want to, and then I was like, I'm gonna man up, and I ate some food, and we just did it, and that was
We
worth
just
it.
did it.
Oh, that's when we saw all that weird stuff.
Yeah, like the bear scratches or whatever it was,
Yeah,
or
there was like, but like everywhere, like almost like every other tree had like a huge scar on it, and we couldn't figure out what was going
yeah,
on there.
but like not tall either. Like it was like kind
Yeah,
of lower-ish.
really weird.
Weird. I don't
It
know.
looked like that looked like a very good area.
It did.
Just wasn't any elk there, but I don't know. So
Yeah.
anyway, so what happened? So then the last day we were debating something.
Well, that's what I was talking about. It was just like that
Oh yeah.
debate. Well, because we were kind of thinking like, oh, should we just go back to camp and like hang out
Oh yeah,
for
yeah,
the evening, or should we like go try to hunt something?
yeah. And you're just
Yeah.
like, well, I guess it just depends on how bad you want it. And I was like, dang you, Logan. Why can't you just like let me be lazy? But we didn't. We went in there. I'm glad we did. It was a good little evening hunt, even though we didn't see anything. It was fun. Um, and saw some beautiful country.
We did.
So
Yeah.
if nothing else, it was like a really good, like honestly, like a really good scouting trip. Like I know, like it's just kind of you just got to look at victory or success in different ways. I mean, didn't kill a bull, but like I now know of a really pretty good spot that's fairly easy to access where we saw a really good deer and good elk. That's a win. That's like
For
in
sure.
my playbook now.
Yeah.
So totally worth
Yeah.
it. Um, yeah. So what's next for you? Are you starting to plan next year yet or anything? Or
Yeah, a little bit. I'm planning on putting in for the Montana deer,
okay,
general deer tag. Never done it, so gonna
cool.
just do it. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Gonna do another early season archery hunt in for mule deer as well
Mm-hmm.
in August, and then there's a cool tag in my home state that's a September mule deer rifle tag, so it's like early season
Oh,
deer
that's
rifle
cool.
tag. It's a very low chance to draw, but might as well try it.
Yeah.
Um, and then if I don't get that, I'll just hunt the general season again
Mm-hmm.
for my home state. Um, that's kind of it. Not planning on doing any elk hunting next year. I'll do some spring bear hunts.
Yeah.
Um,
You're just a deer junkie.
just a deer junkie. Yeah.
And you're getting married, right?
Yeah, in
When's
like a
that
month and a
happening?
half.
A month and a
January
half?
12th, dude. Yeah.
Wait, when?
January 12th.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, you're not getting married during hunting season, are you? I made that mistake, but at least it's October. It's not like mid-November or September or something. But
It's true.
yeah, man, congrats.
Yeah,
Are you
thanks.
guys getting married like close to home, or are you going somewhere crazy? Or
She's from Arizona, so we're getting married in
oh,
Arizona.
nice. Okay,
So it'll be nice and warm
yeah,
down
that'll
there while
be
it's snowing in Idaho. So
yeah, yeah. January in Arizona is definitely nicer than. And hey, you can tag on a in the future archery coos deer or something
it's
down there.
true.
Maybe throw
That's
the bow in the
true.
car for the wedding.
Might.
I'm sure she would love that.
Oh yeah. She
Yeah,
loves
man.
hunting. Actually, I took her on her first hunt this year, the
Okay.
General Rifle tag. We didn't really see anything. Actually, it
Yeah.
was kind of a bust, but it was fun. So
Well, that's fun. You can get them out there with you.
yeah,
So, well, cool, man. Anything else?
man, not really. I don't think so. No.
Cool. Well, it was good hunting with you, man. We'll have to stay in touch, with our plans for next year. Maybe we can. We talked about linking up for if we draw that Montana tag. So
Yeah,
if you draw it, we'll stay in. Do you have any preference points, or are you just going in with 0?
0 points.
Okay. So it'll
Yeah,
be a coin flip for us, but
yeah.
um,
We'll see.
we'll see, man. And yeah, where can folks find you? They want to check out some more of your photography stuff and whatnot.
Yeah, so best place is Instagram, Logan Romney Photography. On there, I'm pretty active on there, posting a lot.
Sweet.
Also on YouTube, just Logan Romney. I got a film coming out soon within the next month, the an archery mule deer hunt we did this early season.
That's the one we did with
Um,
Kobe, right?
yep,
Nice.
Kobe and Kincaid, they filmed it. So
Sweet.
yeah, we're just working on editing that right now. But yeah,
I'm so glad I snagged Kobe for one trip before he got picked up by Weatherby.
yeah,
Although I'm sad because now I want to hire him more, but oh well.
yeah, yeah.
He's a good dude.
I love Kobe. He's cool.
Yeah. He knows a lot about elk too. Um,
Yeah.
but you're my deer
He just
guy.
killed an elk. Did you
Yeah, he
see the
did.
elk?
I
Yeah,
did.
nice
Him
one.
and what's his name?
Tyler
Yeah,
Geiger.
from
Yeah,
Knock Performance
yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
Good dudes. So congrats to you guys if you're listening. But yeah, man, let's stay in touch. Congrats on getting hitched, and hope that goes well. And let's stay in touch as we start heading into tag application season, and maybe we can team up again.
Hey man, sounds good.
All
I'll
right,
plan
buddy.
on it.
Thanks, dude.
Okay, thanks, dude. We'll see you.
Talk to you soon.
Okay.